Hey y'all, this is Marley K. Hope y'all are well. Wanted to follow up with some more history and background on this United Africa that's happening now. We're witnessing in the awakening. It's been a long time coming, and leaders have tried to do this before in the past, but they have been taken out. And one in particular that sticks out to me because the first black president of the U.S., allegedly first black president, who has a Kenyan father, killed an African leader to prevent the continent from coming together. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that Gaddafi was the perfect leader. Everybody got their skeletons in their closet. You know, leaders are leaders. They do what they do. But the awakening was trying to happen back in 2009, 2010. And Gaddafi was basically taken out by the West because of the threat of a united Africa, which would result in America and the West having their resources cut off, France and all these other nations. So let me refresh your memory about what was going on. So it says Muammar Gaddafi's vision for a debt-free Africa led to his death. Gaddafi believed that debt is a Western tool for modern slavery in Africa. I mean, if you really think about, this article is from 2020, but if you really think about the model that the West uses to maintain its society, it always relies on the poorest and debt in order to sustain it. It's like a Ponzi scheme. You always got to buy something. You always need to be paying on something for a long period of time. You always need to be working long hours so that you can have taxes taken out of your check. You always need to pay taxes on everything you consume, everything that you own. You never really own nothing. And if you don't pay on this, it can be taken away and resold. And so it's like so confusing, but intentionally so. And then let's not even talk about the tax code and how the richest pay the least taxes, but the poorest have to pay the most tax. And how poor people have to work more than rich people to pay for the little bit of stuff that they do have that's like worth nothing just for your mere existence. So debt is definitely a tool, and most people don't see it that way because they have a Babylonian mindset. Whereas, if you lived in other places, it's not supposed to be like this. The Most High didn't intend for us to be debt slaves the way that we are. But you can't tell a lot of people, even Christians and believers, they think debt is okay, and it's like, yeah, some debt is okay, but it's not okay for a whole entire society to run like this. It's just not normal. It's not good. So anyway, at the time of Muammar Gaddafi's assassination on October the 20th, 2011, Libya had a national reserve totaling 150 billion and zero debt. So check this out. In 2014, 3 years after his death, records revealed that the national debt of Libya amounted to around 46.37 billion, and the standard of living in the country had dropped drastically. Many critics have continued to argue that Gaddafi was targeted by the West because of his vision for a debt-free Africa. And that's what y'all got to really understand, that this this whole war in Africa and these different nations and these coups are all about debt and resources, because the West relies heavily on debt. and enslavement of people in order to sustain it. If everybody was just like, no, you can't have our stuff. No, we're not working from you. No, we're not going to jail. No, we're not consuming anything from you. We're not working for your companies. We're going to do everything ourselves, take care of ourselves. The West would fall. They would fall in a week. They don't have nothing. Their whole existence relies on taking from people, even their own people, but predominantly black and brown nations and black and brown people. We keep up the West. It's more black and brown people on the earth than there are white people. And so they've set up this invisible system and these invisible arms, Esau and them, to basically keep everybody enslaved. And then they created this psychological warfare operation that makes us see each other as enemies. So we can't even see who's hitting us and enslaving us because we so busy not liking our neighbor next door and trying to keep this group out of our neighborhood when the real villains and the real criminals are the richest and the wealthiest of the West, all over the West, and not just America. You got people in Britain, Ireland, Switzerland, Finland, all these other nations, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. So there's a confederacy against certain groups to keep them enslaved so that other groups don't have to work as hard. And they have the audacity to always tell people to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But if the West had to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, they basically go back to the dark ages by the end of the week because they can't survive without black people, black labor, black resources, resources from black countries. They just cannot. And that is a reality that a lot of Gentiles are not willing to face. While reacting to the role of the West in the assassination of Gaddafi, Dr. James Thring, the founder of Ministry of Peace, an initiative to unite the peace movement and counter war lobbies, injustice and suffering, said it's one of those things that you have to plan most in secret because as soon as you say you're going to change over from the dollar to something else, you're going to be targeted. He added that while Gaddafi might not have been the most democratic leader in the world, Libyan citizens arguably had the best way of life during his reign. History will forever remember Colonel Muammar Gaddafi as a controversial leader, but one thing no one could take away from the revered ex-Libyan ruler is that he was bent on protecting Africa from Western influences at all costs. He believed that through loans and foreign aid, the West penetrated African economies to enrich themselves at the expense of the continent. He was branded a mad dog by Ronald Reagan. His outlandish antics, flamboyant dress, and bombastic pronouncements of the self styled brother leader made him a figure of ridicule at times. But every Western leader throughout his 40-year reign labeled him an enemy that must be deposed at all cost. The question remains, why? And so you're going to see that theme throughout the continent as you see these coups happening. People are trying to do what Gaddafi wanted to do initially, have a united Africa, have a debt free Africa, have it where the citizens aren't poor and reliant upon the West and their foreign aid, where they wouldn't be impacted by sanctions. And so, or in debt where they would end up defaulting, like a lot of these nations now borrow money from China, borrow money from the West. So, even though these nations are extracting wealth from them, they still have to borrow money to build infrastructure to make money. And then they can't pay this money back because the people are still poor. And you have corrupt leaders who just rob and steal. So, it's like a vicious cycle. um, Poverty breeds that. But also there's just something about the West, like they just have this, they install people who are like them, who will make sure that they, even if they look like us, they will keep us poor and destitute and just confused. So the magic is wearing off, and all these nations are waking up. I'm happy that they're waking up because it just means that our time here is short. The fact that they're all waking up at one time, coming together, and that even though, you know, these other nations are Trojan horses and, biblical prophecy got to play out. So they all got to do their part. It's just the coming together. To me, that's something spiritual. And it's something that even here, you think about what happened over the weekend in Alabama and in other places where Black people are coming together, not in a negative way, but Black people are coming together to stand up against the dominant society and protecting itself and defending itself. And everybody's tired. It doesn't matter if you're in Brazil, if you're in Mali or Niger or Haiti, or here in the belly of the beast in Babylon. People are tired of white supremacy. People are tired of the system. People are tired of being laden with debt. You just cannot get a break, and people are going to react. And so that is what we are seeing. And, I wanted to go back to just demonstrate what's happening now is not a new idea. It was something that Gaddafi wanted to do a long time ago and had positioned himself to do. But the first Black president of the United States took him out at the behest of who? The white ones of the West. And not that he's not a part of it, because you got to think he came from them folks too. He's part of that bloodline, so it's not like he's all innocent. He is definitely one of them. But it's just a perfect example of how people look like us and be our enemies, and how the Bible talked about strange men and strange women in our camps. Like, we be claiming folks we don't even need to claim. And I have to even you talk about myself. I've talked about on numerous occasions how I supported him because I thought he was one of us. But after his first term, he showed me he wasn't. Like, we didn't know nothing about this man. He just kind of showed up, and they presented him to us, and then he got in the office and he did what all the raccoons do. So we learned the hard way. He was not for us. And so now we have to be very careful about who we select to guide us, navigate us, because sometimes our own people will put us in the crosshairs of our people. Like, Black people help get this man elected, then this man ends up harming, the people on the continent. And so it's taken them all this time to recover. That's a whole 10 years that was wasted, when had they not assassinated that man, the awakening might have happened a little early. It might have, happening at 2019. But you think about, he was assassinated in 2009. I'm sorry, 2011. So just 8 years before the 400 years uh, was over. And then here it is, 2021, we were in the throes of the pestilence. And now, these nations are finally getting to a point where they're able to stand up. But that's like 10, 11 years of time that's gone by, because, you think about it, Judah helped put this man into power. So, we all have to look back over some of the things that we have done to contribute to the demise and setbacks of our people on the continent. So I was reflecting on that today, and I just wanted to remind everybody that this vision for a debt-free Africa is not anything that is new. They've been trying to do this for a very long time. And anytime we try to free ourselves, this is the fate that we meet. And so we have to be ready if we're going to try to free ourselves from Babylon. This is, it talk about persecution. This is persecution. At that time, it wasn't time, but now it's apparently time, because the Most High is setting the wheels in motion and making it plain. So we got to be ready, but we also got to be futuristic in our thinking and keep our people uplifted all over all over the continent and all over the globe, because we're all scattered all over the place. Everybody's trying to free themselves from the Babylonian rule, because we know what's coming. Everybody knows what's coming. They know what's coming. They don't want to admit it, which is why they are so concerned about CRT and not learn their history and wanting to roll back laws and put new laws on the books. They know what's coming, but they won't be able to do anything about it, because the Most High already said what's going to happen, and it is so. So pray for our brothers on the continent. Keep crying out. Keep repenting for sins of omission and sins of commission. Continue to make sure that you are praying for Judah here at home, because our men need to get it together. Um, this is just the beginning of our woes. We don't know when the Most High is coming to deliver us from this evil, and we don't know how far we're going to have to go into things, but we got to be ready. And that's what I want to impress upon everybody who's listening to me. As we try to free ourselves and try to live outside of this system, especially true Israel, they're going to be mad, because we keep this whole globe going. We keep America going. The West cannot survive without the resources from other nations that are not white. They need their fuel, they need their oil, they need their uranium for their weapons, they need their iron and ore, they need their soil. They need so much. They use their diamonds and gold and silver. So it's an unlimited number of resources there for them to exploit. If those things are shut off, they don't exist. So even when it comes to food, like they rely on foreign imports for a lot of their food. So they need us. We don't need them. And that's what we need to understand. They know, which is why they are afraid. That's why they don't want y'all to see us fighting on the interwebs. That's why they don't want you to know what's going on overseas in Africa, that Africa is uniting. And that's why they won't tell you the truth about Haiti. They try to make like Haiti is such a horrible, dysfunctional place. But the same thing that's going on in Africa is what's wrong with Haiti. Look at France and America. They're the reason that the country is poor. They're the reason that the country continues to have turnover in leadership. Leaders are assassinated, forced to leave the country. Um, it's just, one thing after the next. We are chased. We're being pursued all the time, because Esau is trying to get his inheritance back. Where we are, there is wealth. Where we are, there is talent. Where we are, there are blessings. And other people haven't been getting our blessings because we're disobedient. As soon as we come back into right standing, obey those laws, statutes, and commandments, and cry out, repent from our sins, turn away from our evil ways, the ways of the heathen Gentiles, we'll be blessed again. So continue to pray for the awakening. Continue to pray that our people wake up. Continue to pray that we come together and be united, because nobody's going to protect us. Nobody's going to save us but us. We are all we got. And if we don't be united together, standing, we're going to fall divided together. And that's on Yah. So put away these strange people stuff. Throw away these psyop ideas that they have put all over the interwebs and on television and everywhere. And let's get it together, people, because the awakening is happening. Everybody's waking up at the same time, and it is scary how fast it is happening. But I'm so happy to be alive to witness it. I cannot believe that I'm seeing this. I can just recall talking to Watchman Nehemiah earlier this year. It's like, when everybody was trying to decide whether they were going to Africa, staying here, and folks was like, I'm selling all my stuff and I'm leaving. And I'm like, oh, I like the devil. I know. I ain't going over there because they ain't even unified. You can go to a country and this country don't like those people. Nobody likes us. I'm like, why would I go there? I just wait for the supernatural exodus, however that happens. And just in a matter of months, things have come together so quickly that it's like, it's just unbelievable. So y'all keep praying for our people all over the globe because things are really happening fast. And this is how we don't have much time left here. Whatever they got planned, whatever the adversary is trying to do, he must be ready to unleash it because this awakening is happening so fast that it is unbelievable. So keep praying, keep prepping, keep seeking the Most High. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. All the links to all my other pages are in the description. And hit that bell notification so that you can be notified every time I upload new content. Keep watch, people. Things are happening so fast that these beasts are going to be angry and they're going to lash out at all of us. Ain't just going to be they lash out on the continent of Africa. They're going to lash out here too. So our brothers need to be ready. Sisters, you need to be ready. We need to have our children prepared. We need to get our sons and daughters prepared. Our young people need to be prepared because one thing Babylon don't like is to lose. And the one thing Babylon can't stand is rebellion from its black and brown folks. So y'all know they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do whatever they can do to try to get us back in order because it's worked all the other times. So they gotta try to do the same thing one more time. I don't know if it's gonna work. Whether it works or not is up to us. So just be prepared. This is the calm before the storm. But make no mistake, the storm is coming. All right, y'all. This is Marla K. Love y'all, and I'm out.